Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and I am back again to unexpectedly discuss Amberlynn today. I originally was planning on trying to do my 1,000 Pound Sisters recap today, but that will probably wait until tomorrow. I don't want to push it off any further, but there was something that unexpectedly came up for me today that I felt like was more pertinent to get to in terms of Amberlynn, and also we can go through some more of her Instagram Q&As, which like at some point it's just like some of this is just not like, what else can we say about these Instagram Q&As? I do feel like she's starting to run out of things to talk about over there that she hasn't talked about 1,200 times, which is like pretty much the case for most of her Q&A content. Even when she does Q&A videos, like a lot of it ends up getting very repetitive and is not necessarily something new. But what I want to cover before we get to the Q&A stuff is that there has been more speculation about videos getting removed from Amberlynn'S channel. I have seen it coming from people in my Twitch community, and even if you go look at her social blade, it says that today on October 17th she lost another 300 and some thousand views on her channel, which means that more channels were taken down in some shape, form, or manner. I also saw a screenshot from somebody in my Twitch community. I don't know where they got it from, but they had screenshotted a video that has been taken down per the terms of service. The video was originally posted on February 5th, 2022, and it was called I ate over 5,000 calories today. So there's obviously still a lot going on, and today I've had a lot going on just in my personal life. I wasn't even actually sure if I was gonna have time to make the 1,000 Pound Sisters video, but I do have time to make this video. And I mentioned to y'all briefly, it was like the smallest of shortest of conversations that I had in one of these like videos where I was covering her Q&As. Somebody had asked her some kind of question about the way she was treated because she was fat, something to do with fat phobia. And I mentioned in that video that I had done an interview, or like I had been asked questions for a news article that's going to eventually come out about Girl World. A journalist had reached out to me and just wanted to ask me about some things regarding it. And I answered so many different types of questions in that video. We really talked about a lot. Like I don't really actually, to be honest with you, know exactly where that interview is going, because we just like covered a whole lot of variety of topics. I talked about Nikocado. We talked about Amberlynn probably the most. We talked about the like symbiotic relationship she has with like reaction channels. We talked about like fat phobia and the role that it plays in her experience on the internet, and like how I perceive fat phobia to take part in the community and things like that. So we talked about a lot of things and the journalist was very friendly, very kind, very sweet, like enjoyed talking to the journalist. And anyways, all that to say is that this morning I got a text message from the journalist saying like, hey, do you have like a quick second to talk? I want to talk about like some timelines and things like that. And come to find out that the reason that it seems that YouTube, well, this is like confirmed by the journalist. The reason, at least specifically, that the rotisserie mukbang chicken situation, why did I word those words in that order? The rotisserie chicken mukbang specifically was put onto YouTube's radar because of an inquiry that journalist had for YouTube, because like part of their journalistic process was to reach out to YouTube. I do feel with some level of certainty after talking to the journalist today on the phone that the reason that YouTube started looking at Amberlynn'S channel and if it violated terms of service and things like that was because this journalist reached out to YouTube for comment on the ways that mukbangs and things like that do or do not violate the terms of service that they have posted and updated on their website. Now, I will say, like, from talking to the person, it sounds like that was the only video that they in particular inquired about, so it seems like maybe YouTube is going through and being more thorough wrote about other things. At a minimum, the screenshot from the 5,000 calories eating video that I referenced earlier, that screenshot alleges that it was taken down because of the terms of service violations. But it is still possible that there's other reasons that other videos could be taken down, like whether that's Amberlynn taking things down on her own volition or any number of reasons. Now, for the most part, you're just gonna have to take my word that this conversation happened. The journalist is obviously still working on putting together their article and did mention to me that because YouTube confirmed that that was the reason that they took the video down, that that would be a part of their article in the future. But the journalist also asked me to, you know, like, not share too much about the story because they're still working on it and things like that. But I did get their permission to share this much. So again, I understand why people are speculating. I think that makes a lot of sense, and like also probably a lot of people had no idea that this was even happening, so I doubt that this was a part of anybody's like speculation as to why Amberlynn's videos were getting down. To be honest, I think the journalist also was kind of like surprised. That was the vibe I was getting from talking to them. They were surprised that this was like something that YouTube did based on some questions that they were just asking. It wasn't their goal, I don't think, to have videos taken down from Amberlynn's channel or anything like that. They were just asking questions as a part of their like journalistic duty, you know? Like they were trying to get information from all parties involved. So yeah, I just thought that that might be helpful because I know there's lots of speculation, and the journalist did say, you know, if like sharing this helps stop some misinformation or stop some speculation, that it was fine to share. So just wanted to share that with you all. I feel like that's helpful. And certainly once the article does come out, I'm very interested to read it because, like I said, I was interviewed for this article. They did ask me questions about it, and I am curious to see where that goes and what that looks like in print. But they have been, I think, working on like writing it and getting it edited and things like that. So I'm not sure what the timeline is for that article getting published. And if for some reason it doesn't get published, I'm happy to like maybe provide receipts to prove that I'm not just like bullshitting and making this all up. But I do respect the journalists, and they did ask that I not share like too much information about them and things like that. So, and or like the story and the details surrounding it. So I'm gonna respect that for them for now. But you know, I've also struggled in recent history. I mean, I literally told this to them. Like, I've had a history of like having information from people, i.e. Amberlynn. Like, I think the most recent example is the Amberlynn weight loss surgeon situation. And I just like try to be as open and transparent and honest ever since then with information that I do or do not know. So I did want to share and do my due diligence in that regard as well. So yeah, I think that's all I got for that. I think that's all I have for that. I don't think that there's anything else I can really share, but I guess if you have questions, let me know. I might not be able to say too much more than what I've already said, and or might not have really much more to share outside of what I've already said. Like, it just was such an unexpected thing to happen today. I really wasn't anticipating this being a conversation that I would have today, and it's fascinating. It's just weird how the world works. Like, just crazy that this all happened like this. And yeah, it seems like YouTube, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think YouTube only cares because potentially like a news outlet is going to be covering it. I do think that, because like otherwise do I think YouTube would be going through and like looking through Amberlynn's old videos and stuff like that? No, I don't really, to be honest with you. All right, let me transition into the Q&As that she's posted. I will say, I think at this point, it's just safe to say that like she's constantly posting these Q&As, and it's always possible I'm not going to be all the way up to date on whatever the latest Q&A she's posted. And like right before I started filming, I even looked and I saw that she had just posted a new form for people to ask questions through, and she'd only answered like 1 or 2 through that form. And I thought about waiting to see if she answered more, and then I was like, no, if I wait, I could be waiting forever, you know? So I figured like, let's just get to and see what is on the Instagram Q&As today. I'm also experimenting with a different way to try to show the screenshots on camera so that hopefully I can work smarter, not harder, and it won't take as long to edit in all these individual screenshots. So the screen recording on my phone wasn't working, so I downloaded them all to my computer, and I'm gonna try to just screen record them all on my computer, and hopefully that will work more efficiently. I should also say that today's screenshots start in the middle of the Q&As that she was doing, where she was only answering with yes or no, like she was doing yes or no questions only. So we start with her saying, or somebody asking, I should say, are you posting the crumble cookie video? And she said yes. When is she posting the video? Who knows? Who knows? Where is she posting the video? I don't know. I feel like, considering some of the things we know about YouTube evaluating their terms of service right now and looking at her channel, maybe posting that on YouTube is not the best place to do that. But here we are. So there's that question. Somebody asked, have you ever thought about suing reaction channels? I would. And she said no. And I'm like, suing us for what? Suing us for what purposes? Like, I think it's clear at this point that she doesn't have any claim over, like, us violating copyright law. For the most part, I think most people just react to her and her own words and the things that she puts on her own social media. So I feel like she would have a real difficult case at, like, defamation or slander, whichever one applies in this situation. So I'm just really interested in what this person thinks that Amberlynn has in regards to any kind of, like, legal action. That's really fascinating to me. Somebody said, is Tommy your most attractive partner? And she said yes, which of course she's gonna say yes. Imagine she said no while currently dating Tommy. Imagine she's like, no, actually, wifey was my most attractive partner. Like, what a fucking slap in the face to the person you're currently dating. But, you know what? I'm somewhat inclined to agree, but maybe that's just because people say that I look like Tommy. Like, yeah, we are cute. That's my twin. Of course my twin is the most attractive partner you've had. Somebody said, do you have any vlogs recorded waiting to be posted? And she said no, which is just heartbreaking and devastating to me, because that really means that we're probably still at least a week or two out before we get any kind of content from her on her channel. Another person said, are you coming back to YouTube? And she said yes, which, like, again, when? Show it to me, Rachel, when? Somebody said, is a mukbang video on the way, or it will be in the future? I miss those videos. And that person has to just be trolling with her. But she said no, and again, I imagine that's because it seems like YouTube is taking a very close look at her channel right now. Like, I can't imagine that it would be a wise idea for her to currently go on camera and be like, here's a crazy mukbang of me eating a crazy amount of food. Somebody said, are you aware you're using hectic wrong? And she said yes. Love a self-aware queen. Somebody said, would you ever visit Chicago? And she said yes. And obviously I had to screenshot this one. I guess this is a good reminder that I didn't screenshot everything. And again, I will say, like, I'm glad because she says that she's doing this to, like, interact with her fans in a different kind of way, which, great, wonderful, love that for you. But previously, she was only focused on, like, the really negative comments, and she has focused on less negativity, I think, overall. But I just don't have something to say about all of those things. But I did screenshot this because, like, girl, you trying to come to my city? Imagine I'm walking down the streets of Chicago and just unknowingly run into Amberlynn. That would be so crazy. I mean, the reality is if she did visit Chicago, she would be holed up in a hotel and at most leaving to go to, like, the Cheesecake Factory. There is one downtown. I've been. I went for a friend's birthday last year. But anyways, here we are. Somebody said, do you like Jordie? And she said no. She's got a lot to say about reaction channels still. She is spending a lot of time talking about us. Somebody said, have you struck another YouTube creator in the last 2 months? And she said no. And I do think it's interesting that people always think this about her. Because, like, one, if somebody ever did get struck by her, like, they would have, like, receipts to prove that, right? So, like, if somebody did, they would have, like, an email that said, Amberlynn Reid struck your channel or whatever. So it'd be really easy for people to prove. And the one time that she did it with Apathetic Facts back in the day, like, she fully, like, acknowledged, like, I did this. Whether or not she was correct or incorrect about that, like, she acknowledged it. And I think it's just one of those things that, like, people speculate a lot about, but I feel like should realistically be easy to prove if she actually did. Is there any reaction channel you like? And she said yes. I mean, there's always reaction channels she likes. And honestly, she's very flip-floppy, as you're gonna see as we answer all of these things, because, like, I think there's... Maybe I'm thinking of an old question that I already covered in a video, but, like, she said she didn't like Alex's Shook, and she used to talk about Alex's Shook being her favorite reaction channel, and how she liked to watch Alex as, like, a guilty pleasure and things like that. And so it's the reality is that it's just, like, whoever suits her at the time, you know? Like, whatever validation she wants to seek at the time, and whoever's talking about her worst at the time, or whoever she feels like done the most dirty by at the time she doesn't like. So it's honestly, truly, I don't think any of the reaction channels give a shit if she likes us or not. To be honest with you, that seems to be the vibe that I've gotten from following them in other places. Like, I think I don't actually know if I follow Alex or not. I get a lot of Alex's tweets in my timeline. I think I do follow Jordie. And, like, the vibes that I get from them is, like, we don't care if you like us or not, Amberlynn. Like, we're just showing up to work and doing our job at the Amberlynn Reid Reaction Factory. And on that note, she said, do you like Zachary Michael? And she said yes. And I guess, like, there's more to be discussed about this because I already know another screenshot that's on its way. But it's just, like, I've literally made videos, like, outlining just, like, the ebb and flow of, like, does Amberlynn like me, or does Amberlynn think that I'm the worst reaction channel ever? Like, she's literally said that about me. You know how she just said that about Mr. Snowflake in a Q&A the other day? She said that about me. And she says she likes me, but it was just, like, a month ago, or whenever I posted my breakup video, that she was saying, like, that I've been so rude to her during the most sensitive times of her life, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And so it's just, like, I don't know. Like, what is the truth, Amberlynn? Like, what is the truth? And that's not to also say that she can't, like, change her mind over time, but it's just so inconsistent, you know? It's just one of those things that changes so often that it's like, I can't take anything you say about it seriously, because 2 days from now, she could watch this video and be like, fuck Zach, I don't like what he had to say about me. And sure, that's her prerogative, but it doesn't really make her reliable when it comes to thinking about, like, if I'm a good person, if she likes me, if I'm worthy of her liking me, this, that, the other. And also, just to be clear, I've said this a lot too, because, like, sometimes the narrative on my channel, whenever I, like, you know, defend her or support her in some kind of way, people are like, you're just doing that to get Amberlynn's approval. And, like, I could give two fucking shits about Amberlynn's approval. Really, really, truly, don't need Amberlynn's approval. Have, in fact, not had Amberlynn's approval a lot over the course of this channel, and my channel's continued to be successful either way. So, just want to clear that up too. I don't give a shit that she's saying in Instagram Q&As that she likes me. Good for her. I mean, if she was within her right mind, of course she would like me. I'm a very likable person. I mean, most people do and should. You should like me, okay? Somebody said, if you had the chance to speak directly to Mr. Snowflake, like over the phone, would you? And she said yes, which is just interesting to me. Because, I don't know, what, this man, you said this man is awful and horrible and terrible and has, like, misrepresented you and lied about very serious things. Like, her accusation is that he's like made up lies about her abuse and things like that. Like, I don't know. That doesn't sound like, if that's the case, that doesn't sound like somebody that I'm trying to talk to, you know? I don't know. That's just me, though. Somebody said, have you ever been hit on by a stranger in public? Which is kind of like a wasted question, because anytime it happens, she comes to YouTube to let us know. Anytime, all the time that it happens. It's happened many times, and she's ran straight to the YouTubies to be like, I was at a casino and this man came and hit on me. So anyways, her answer was yes. Somebody asked, was the aforementioned poly relationship before you started YouTube? And she said yes, which is just, again, interesting. I didn't know this part of her lore. I don't know what relationship this is, but that's interesting. Somebody said, are you planning on getting therapy for BPD? And she said yes. And of course she's planning on it. That doesn't mean she's gonna do it. I think she's discussed getting therapy for a long time, and I think we've all been begging her to just go do it. Like, put up or shut up. Shit or get off the pot, girl. Shit or get off the pot. Somebody said, did you and Tommy do the deed on the first date? And she said yes. And I'm trying to remember what their first date was. Well, like, literally that one video that she posted of Tommy visiting for the first time, like, all I remember is that they did in fact go to the Cheesecake Factory. And I'm just like, how romantic. Like, is orange chicken an aphrodisiac? Do you think she chowed down on some orange chicken? I mean, I'm sure it was an aphrodisiac for Tommy Salami. But do you think Amber, like, gets in the mood after chowing down on Cheesecake Factory's orange chicken? I'd like to know. I'd like to know more about that. Somebody said, will you make a vlog explaining why you took a YouTube hiatus? And she said yes. So I'm curious. I also feel like, to be honest with you, I wanted to be like, oh, I could imagine finding out that YouTube is taking a closer look at all of your content might make you feel like, wow, I just really don't want to post right now until I get this sorted out. But also, that really did, from the timeline that I understand, only started as recently as October 11th. So, like, the 2 weeks leading up to that really had nothing to do with that. Really had nothing at all to do with that. So it's just like, I am kind of curious what the full story is, and if, like, YouTube looking at her videos and reviewing her videos and stuff like that even has anything to do with that at all. Somebody said, when will the next YouTube video be up? And she said, I'm honestly not sure. Just needing to have a clear mind. Having to film so much of my life does get overwhelming sometimes. Not complaining, just explaining. I'll be back soon. Which, like, of course. And I think, like, if she wants to think about sustainability for her channel, like, I do have suggestions. like, I think helpful suggestions. This is not to, like, criticize her or anything, but I do think if she could incorporate some more boundaries into her life in terms of, like, what she does and doesn't film, that she could, like, set up some structure of, like, I'm going to film these types of things from this time to this time. I'm going to schedule out, like, things to film. I think maybe some of that comes from she just, like, doesn't have an entirely overly interesting life. And so it just feels like she can't, like for me, if I was a vlogger, you know, like, if I was a vlogger, I'd be like, oh, I know I'm going to go do this exciting thing. So I'm going to plan my schedule around, like, knowing that I want to film that thing and maybe take some time off in other parts of my life and, like, not film everything. And I just don't think that she has any kind of boundaries surrounding what she will or won't film. And because of that, she gets overwhelmed and burnt out on, like, just filming what she feels like is all the time. It's also really hard to understand, I think, for a lot of us who are not her, why the types of content that she films would be overwhelming to her, considering it doesn't seem like it takes a lot of effort and energy. But I really do think she could, like, benefit from, like, implementing some kind of routine or schedule for herself, you know? I don't know. Those are just suggestions. There's probably a lot of things she could do and probably will take my advice on none of them. I am kind of like giving advice right now thinking like, oh, she might be watching, so like maybe these things will be helpful for her, but also she doesn't have to take any of my advice on anything. Somebody said, are you happy right now? And she said, my moods are literally on a swing set. Right now, I'm happy, yes. Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure just the other day she answered a question that was like, I'm the happiest I've ever been. And now it seems like she's suggesting like, well, some days I'm actually not happy, which is also just like a normal part of life. Like you're not happy 100% of the time. It's just interesting the ways that she chooses to communicate about that for me. And like, that's what I'm interested about here because it's like literally now she's suggesting like, yeah, you know what? I go back and forth, and originally it was like, I'm living the best life I've ever lived, let's go. I think it's just because, like, she previously was, like, talking about it in terms of, like, a binary, like, an extreme binary of, like, she's only happy, and, like, I think most of us know that it doesn't work like that. Like, you're not always happy, not every day's a great day, etc. I don't know. Maybe I'm a fucking pessimist, actually. Maybe I'm the problem. Somebody said, do you watch corn? Which I imagine is their way to try to avoid saying porn, in case you're wondering. But she said, no, I do not. It makes me feel icky, which is fine. You know, I think, like, it's not for everybody for a variety of different reasons. Somebody said, do you need noise to fall asleep? I remember why I screenshotted this because her response is so fucking funny to me. She said, I can't sleep if I hear any noise at all. And then immediately follows it up with, the one noise I need, though, it's my fan. She said, I can't sleep with any noise at all. Unless it's this noise. Like, no, then girl, like, literally, that's what the question was asking. You didn't need to say, I can't sleep if I hear any noise at all. Just say, like, the noise I need to fall asleep is the sound of my fan. That's not even also, like, a wild thing to say. Like, I think a lot of people probably can relate to that. I just think that was just such a funny way to answer it. But anyway, she says, the sound of a loud fan at night is so calming. If I hear the tiniest noise beyond that, I'm awake and can't sleep. Which, like, I guess maybe I see the nuance she's trying to illustrate there. I just think it's funny the way she worded it. Somebody said, how come you're answering so many questions? And she said, no specific reason. I go through phases where I just enjoy this kind of communication with you guys. I've been doing these on and off for almost 6 years now. And she reiterates this one more time in the screenshots that I have. And I think she just must be getting a lot of, like, questions or pushback or feedback about, like, you have all the time in the world to answer all of these questions, but you can't post a video on YouTube. I imagine that's why she's feeling like she needs to keep re-explaining that this is just something she does. But here we are. Somebody said, is the crumble cookie video similar to what you would post on OnlyFans? And she said, if I were to ever post on OnlyFans, it would definitely be edited videos like that. Yes. This crumble cookie video is gonna haunt her forever. Ain't no way anybody on the internet is gonna forget about her crumbling her cookie. Somebody said, is Tommy comfortable with all these sexual questions being asked? And Amberlynn said she doesn't mind it. I don't answer anything too explicit, which, like, I guess, like, explicit is subjective, right? Like, explicit is subjective, and I feel like Amberlynn has answered quite a few things that, like, I personally would not be announcing to the internet, so maybe we just have different thresholds, expectations, and things like that. Somebody said, in what way do you think Mr. Snowflake manipulated evidence? And she said, if someone is able to convince others that you're lying about something when you're not, that's manipulating evidence and manipulating. I said it like her, but unintentionally. That's manipulating your audience. I get where she's coming from in terms of, like, she's trying to say, like, well, I know that what he's saying is not the truth, so he must be manipulating evidence. And I think, like, if she really wanted to respond to this, then, like, show some examples, you know? Like, I think that's what the person is trying to say is, like, girl, like, from everything that people have watched, I think, like, when they watch his videos, they're seeing things that she's saying herself. So, like, if he's taking a clip or something out of context, Amberlynn, then show that. Like, show how he's manipulating it to make it sound different or look different. I'm not saying he is or isn't, but, like, this person asks how you think he's doing it, and you're just like, well, you just have to trust me that I'm not lying, so that means that he is. And that's, like, not ever gonna work in terms of, like, proof for these people on the internet. And honestly, like, don't address it if you don't want to, but, like, you clearly do want to address it in some kind of way because you continue to answer questions about Mr. Snowflake. Somebody said, why do you think Karina Kaboom makes up so many lies about you? And she said, because the truth is boring. The truth about her is not necessarily inherently boring. And also, like, I'll say this again, Karina might not have, like, had all the pieces together about what was really going on YouTube's side of things and why, what was going on with, like, Amberlynn in terms of her being banned and stuff like that. But Karina did correctly identify that, like, a video had been taken down. So it's like, I think a lot of Karina's stuff also, like, is speculation that other people run with as truth. And also, Karina did find something, at least in the context of that. I don't know, maybe somebody's talking about other lies that Karina has made up or whatever, but having watched her video, to me, she said, this is my theory, this is, like, my speculation on what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, she's very passionate about it, which I think is part of why people take it as, like, this is the way, but here we are. This one, I saw this and I was like, I'm so annoyed with this woman. I'm so irritated with this woman. Anyways, somebody said faves right now and then listed things like snacks, song, TV show, movie, drinks, celeb, guilty pleasure. So her current faves snack, Tootsie Rolls, which, like, are Tootsie Rolls a snack? Are we snacking on Tootsie Rolls? Her favorite song is Wildflower by Billie Eilish. Her favorite TV show is Big Brother, which I did have a thought, and this is, like, so minuscule and really doesn't matter. Probably going to sound a little nitpicky. But she answered a question about how she was so behind on all the things that she's watching. She has not been up to date. Like, it was about 1,000 Pound Sisters. Like, somebody asked her if she'd watched that episode, and she's like, I'm so behind. But, like, she's up to date on Big Brother. she knows who won Big Brother and all of that. So I'm just like, if she hasn't watched this week, she's now 2 episodes behind on 1,000 Pound Sisters. But it's not like you're super behind and you're able to keep up with Big Brother. I think you'll be okay. Her favorite movie is Riding in Cars with Boys. Her favorite drink is Diet Dr. Pepper. Let's fucking go. Her favorite celeb is Billie Eilish. And would you look at that? Her guilty pleasure? Zachary Michael. Girl, it doesn't have to be a guilty pleasure. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. It's just, like I said, it's so fucking dumb. It's so fucking dumb because a week from now, a month from now, I'm going to do something that's going to piss her off, and I'm going to be back to the worst reaction channel she's ever watched, ever seen, ever heard of. Like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Somebody said, what truly was your highest weight? And I screenshotted this because it's so annoying. Well, let me just read her response. She said, my highest known weight was 572, but when I reflect and think of how immobile I was and how much I ate versus how I am now, I almost wonder if I was bigger than that at one point. Which, listen, do people on the internet need to be speculating about what her weight is? Probably not. But she would get so mad that people would say that she was 600 pounds. And she would emphasize, like, my highest weight ever was 572. I ain't never been 600 pounds. So for her to come back around to this and now be like, well, in reflection, maybe I was. Well, she's not saying that she was 600 pounds here either, but like she's now acknowledging, like, maybe there was a chance I actually weighed more and I just didn't know, and I just didn't have any idea. It's guess, based on everything else we've talked about, not a surprise that, like, she's flip-flopping on anything. That's just in her nature. Somebody asked, the way you put periods after everything makes you seem mean or mad or something. And she said, I might suck at grammar, but I do like to use the right punctuation. That doesn't just reflect on my mood or how I feel, semicolon. It's a constant. And I'm like, what a pretentious fucking thing to do, to just put a semicolon in your sentence. Like, you basics wouldn't get it, but I know how to use a semicolon. Like, right after she gets done talking about using the right punctuation and stuff like that. Please be fucking serious, Writer Lynn. Like, you're so goofy. Somebody said, do you think you could quit talking about sex? It really highlights your emotional immaturity, girl. And she said, discussing sex isn't immature. I'm a sexual person and very sex positive. Plus, I'm an open book. And I think it's just like, I don't know. I very much am also sex positive, and I really don't care if she talks about sex or anything. I think, like, for me, when it comes to her talking about sex, what I find the most fascinating and interesting is that it's seemingly like, it feels like it's extreme, which is maybe a lot of things about Amberlynn. It's like, either she can't talk about it at all, or she's gonna give us, like, every fucking detail ever. And, like, to some extent, I think it's just actually on her, and it really is a little bit of emotional immaturity. Like, it's this concept that, like, Brene Brown, who I don't, like, keep up with as much these days, because, like, I just, like, don't vibe with everything about her, but she does have a lot of stuff that I think is, like, really helpful in thinking about the way we share ourselves with others. She does a lot of, like, talking about vulnerability and stuff like that. And a lot of people think being vulnerable just means, like, sharing everything with everyone, like anybody. And the reality is that, like, I think to some extent, what makes vulnerability so important is that you're not vulnerable with everybody. That, like, you are purposeful with your vulnerability. You're intentional with it. And so it just, to me, feels like she just, like, is putting it out there for everybody. And she's like, looking how, like, open and mature I am. I'm an adult who has sex. And it's like, really, the reality is that, like, most people, even people who are the most sex positive, like, save their conversations about sex for an intentional purpose, an intentional audience, and things like that. I think the other part of this that doesn't make it feel super mature is because a lot of it is still, like, skirting saying the actual words, like, skirting around it, like, calling it the deed, or, like, the question that was like, does Tommy talk you through it? Which is, like, not on her, because it's people asking those questions. But then I think when she's responding to questions that are asked in that way, it feels like somebody who's brand new to sex, like, talking about their experiences, but they're, like, nervous or, like, not fully, like, comfortable talking about it. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyways, talk about whatever the fuck you want, Amberlynn. Somebody said, fuck, marry, kill, Jordie, Snowflake, Alex, and she said, block to all. Somebody said, do you consider watching corn cheating? And she said, every relationship is different, so I'm fully aware that the opinions on this topic vary. But for me, yes, it's absolutely cheating on some level. Cheating isn't black and white, there are levels to it. And I just love her answering any kind of question about cheating in a post-Erica/Valentine world. Like, girl, you fully just recently in the past year were participating in an affair knowingly. So please be fucking serious answering questions about cheating. Somebody asked, are you temporarily banned from posting on YouTube? And she said she is not. She just doesn't have the mental capacity to post right now, even though she's really happy and she's doing great. Somebody asked, do you look through Tommy's phone? And I thought this was interesting because I remember the story that Alexis told, Amberlynn's best friend Alexis, told about the time where Amberlynn asked to look through Tommy's, like, YouTube watch history and everything that was involved in that. And, like, I think, this part I'm fuzzy on, I don't remember, but I think Alexis, like, implied that Tommy had been watching reaction channels or something like that. But anyways, Amberlynn'S response is, I never have, no, but I asked her to let me one time, and she handed it to me with no issue. Which also, that way of answering it is very much like, I can't sleep with any noise, but I do like this one noise. It's giving very much that, like, no, I've never done it. I've never done that. But I did one time. I did one time, and she didn't have an issue with it. Literally shocked me, but I immediately handed her phone back because I trust her. When I asked her, it was more so in a joking way, but her immediate response was very green flag coded. Somebody said, why did you date a minor at 19? And I think this is referring to when she was dating Casey. And she said, we started dating when I was 16 and he was 15. We were a year and a half apart. When I turned 18, I didn't break up with him because we had already been together for almost 2 years at that point. My bad. Somebody said, how is Snowflake manipulating evidence if the evidence is everything you've said? And again, this is not, like, her response to it is not answering the question. Telling someone to go do their own research is not responding to the question. But she said, you should do some research on manipulation of truth. It's actually quite interesting and will explain better than I'd ever be able to. And I think that's the problem, because I could also go do this research on manipulation of truth. But if you're trying to make a point here, then teach me about what that is and show me the ways that Mr. Snowflake has done it in his videos. Because also, mind you, she said that she's only watched like 5 videos ever. So it's also based on whatever 5 videos of his that she's allegedly watched, right? So go back to one of those videos, teach us about what manipulation of truth is, and show us the examples in his video. Would love to see it. Would love to watch that video, to be honest with you. It sounds like something that might be too much work for Amberlynn, but if she ever did it, I would probably watch it for sure. Somebody said, do you think Jordie is cute? And she said, I don't judge people's looks, but do I find him attractive? It's just another one of those things with the way she words it. It's, I can't sleep with any noise, but I do sleep with this noise. It's literally just the last example we just talked about. It's, I don't judge people's looks, but do I find him attractive? Absolutely not. She's so funny about the way she answers these things. And then she started a new game, and it didn't last very long, and I didn't take a lot of screenshots of this because I just didn't find it overly interesting. But she opened up a new, like, Q&A prompt thing and said, tell me what you want to see a picture of. So here are my highlights. One of them was the crumble cookie video, so here are some screenshots she shared from it. Another was a memory from 2019, and this photo is just so funny to me. She said, taken by a friend, it became a favorite among our group and something we laughed about often. It is such a funny photo. I could see why. It does make me laugh. It is funny, whatever filter they're using. It's so silly. Somebody said, a never seen before picture of you and Tommy, and it's captioned date night. And when I saw this, I was like, how is this never before seen? Like, maybe I haven't seen this particular photo. Like, maybe you haven't posted this particular photo. But this is the same goddamn iteration of every TikTok, reel, photo on Instagram you've been posting since you started dating Tommy. You got the stupid ass devil horn filter on, and you're posed in the exact same way you always do. So like, oops, I didn't mean to click next. So like, I just need some help in clarifying like what is new about this photo, you know? And then again, like I said, she clarified once again. I think she posted a new Q&A thing, just like general questions. And she posted saying, for those asking, I used to do these Q&As daily years ago, which like, I don't think it's ever been daily consistently. It's usually like been a few weeks at a time she might do them daily. But she said, like, gay care era, bedbound era, then multiple eras after that, like Shrimp Gate and Cake Gate. Oh, and all the other gates that have transpired throughout the years. It's just for fun and allows me to connect with you guys and hopefully feel like your voice is heard. And again, it's fun to me, and I know so many of you enjoy it. Do we? No, I'm sure there's probably somebody that enjoys it. Somebody asked, what's something you wish people would believe you about? And she said, literally everything. But listen, I know that isn't possible. So anything serious that I've ever talked about, not believing small things, whatever, have fun. But when I open up about serious things, abuse, my health, my weight, trauma, mental health, etc., that's the stuff that I wish people would stop Okay, besties. I don't usually have a problem with my memory card becoming full, so I accidentally forgot to delete some files off of it, and so while I was recording that last clip, it literally cut off. So my apologies. I know that sounds probably real crazy to like go from that and then jump into me talking about this, but yeah, I don't really remember what I had to say about that last screenshot that I had. Just to say that, like, I understand why it's frustrating to her that she can't be trusted on the internet, that people don't believe her about serious things, and a lot of that is because her reputation precedes her, right? Like, at this point, like, it is an uphill battle that she has to fight, and, you know, I think she likes to, you know, section off a lot of her lies and things like that to a time long ago, years ago, but like there are things that she has lied about just this year and the year of 2024. So she certainly has a lot of work to do there still, and I don't know what it's going to take for people to believe her. I think like really probably the best course of action for her is to just keep on trucking, you know? Like if she knows, I know how frustrating it can be when like people believe something about you that you know isn't true, but if it's the case that you know it isn't true, like sometimes you just have to keep pushing and you just have to keep like showing up authentically, not lying, being honest, etc. And maybe people will eventually turn. I don't know. I don't have any advice for that. Just that like she certainly has a reputation of being dishonest on her channel, and I think that's why a lot of people still do a lot of speculation about things and don't automatically believe her when she comes out and says very serious stuff. I mean, I think I try to veer on the side of caution and trust her, but overall, I understand why people don't, you know? I really surely do. But anyways, I did do a quick check on Instagram to see if she posted anything else since I started recording this. She has not, and I also, you know, if I start editing this video and she posts more, I probably won't comment on those until, like, maybe a future video, if there's even anything worth commenting on. So, you know, if some parts of this are not the most up-to-date information in regards to the Instagram Q&As, just know that if there's something so interesting, I'll cover it in a future video. But anyways, this is a very long video, once again. So thanks so much for hanging out, for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're brand new to my channel, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the bell button so you get a notification every single time I post a new video. Leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I love you all so much, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!